Well, welcome to the new normal. This is Lloyd Harsh, and I've got some things I want to share with you about classes going forward. Things are going to be different in the near future. We don't know how long they're going to be this way, but let's prepare for what we have available for us right now. Right now we see things with the government shutting down larger group meetings, and that affects us with our meetings and classes. It affects our congregations. And we need to balance panic with a rebellious attitude of skepticism of what's really going on and why. As a researcher and as a historian, I prefer facts and research to what maybe talking heads might be saying. And towards that end, I have posted some articles in Blackboard that you can reference. The first is a doctor's explanation of what COVID-19 is and why it is a different kind of flu strain from others that we would normally have. A second is a statistical model which illustrates how the spread of the disease can be flattened out and some of the best ways in which that's accomplished. Finally, there's a brief history of the last time we had a major pandemic like this, the Spanish flu of 1918. Plus, it compares how St. Louis reacted to it with Philadelphia and how St. Louis's aggressive actions towards social distancing actually saved thousands of lives in that city. So those are available for you there. I'll be sending out an announcement that lets you know about it, and there'll be a whole new folder on the left side in Blackboard where you can access these resources. But what do these measures mean for us now, both in our classes and in our churches? I'd like to remind you of Philippians 2:4, where each of us should look not only to our own interests, but also to the interests of others. So what does that mean for us in the church? Well, right now, the interests of others is that we not spread disease to them. And so for their best interests, we are closing down congregational meetings and finding new and creative ways of being the church. We've always said the church is the people and not the building. So let's use this as an opportunity of putting that into practice and being creative as the people of God to minister to one another, support one another, and to share God's love into a hurting community that until a week ago was not paying attention to what God might be doing and is now wondering what tomorrow might hold. And I would also encourage us to avoid the trap of falling into frustration. Frustration that the goals and plans that we had for next week or for Easter are now having to be rethought and reorganized. And instead, looking for ways that these changes are opening up for opportunities in ministry. Ways to look for what God might be teaching us that had this not happened, we would have missed. So let's look for what God is doing and tap in with that and be a part of what He is about, so that we can be part of God's ministry in the midst of this, rather than sitting on the sidelines complaining about why things aren't the way we'd like them to be. I'd like to remind you that your seminary leadership is acting in this way. The decisions that have been made about housing and classes have been done with the best interests of our staff, our professors, our students, all in mind. And they are demonstrating the towel in the basin. In fact, that's what Philippians 2 and 4 is all about, is putting the goals and interests of others above our own. And so let's adapt to these changes, but with the concern of those who are being impacted. And finally, your school is the best, in my opinion, the best equipped to handle unexpected circumstances. We've got a long track record of doing that. We've done it in storms. We've done it the very first semester we opened as a school when the Spanish flu epidemic swept through New Orleans. So we already have things in place so that we can be flexible in how we can continue to do our education, how we can mentor you, how we can support you. So while it's a little bit inconvenient, we're hitting this in stride. We don't have to create from scratch ways of continuing your education. So Fear not. God is in control, and God is with us. Secondly, look for ministry opportunities that are around you in the midst of these changing times. Look for people who might be now asking questions about who God is and how they might connect to Him through faith in Jesus. Thirdly, wash your hands, practice good hygiene. And finally, be involved with the social distancing, which is the most effective way of flattening this out and impacting fewer people in a shorter period of time, which lets fewer people get sick and keeps our healthcare system from being overwhelmed. And then finally, let's pray. Pray that God will give us His peace that passes all understanding, that God will be working in the lives of those affected. Pray for our healthcare workers, pray for our first responders, and pray for those whose lives are now more intimately impacted because of loss of jobs and income. So, take a look at Blackboard. I've got the links that are there. And we will get through this together. God is with us. And with our eyes on Him, let's see what God might bring about in the midst of this disruptive circumstance. And hope to see you soon.